Hi, it's Prema, and today I'm bringing the energy, the connector. And the connector is ruled by Venus, the planet Venus. Venus is overall an indicator of connectivity of relationships. It's relational. It does rule some of our feminine energy, although men can have a connector and have the Venus archetypes as well. We find also the artist and the muse in Venus rules. And let's focus in on the connector today. You are a connector, and you have so many great gifts as being a connector. You're heart centered, intimate, creative, communicative, diplomatic, devoted, harmonious, inspiring, accommodating, receptive, compassionate, and empathetic. Your mantra: we are all one. You really feel that deeply, that oneness. We are all one. And the soul desire is to be a channel for eternal belongingness. Belongingness you hold high value. Your purpose: to be a centralizing force for humanity and bring the world together. This is the purpose of the connector. Your overall purpose may be incorporate that, may be different than that, but this, just so you know really where this connector part of you is coming from. And there's also a shadow side, which is people pleasing, loss of self, overly attached, codependent, and too comfortable. So the connector being one of Venus's archetypes, Venus actually is a centripetal planet, and it actually rotates in an opposite direction than most of the planets do, and it spins and draws attention to it. It really attracts things to it. So you have to be very clear about what you're in alignment with and what you're putting out, because you'll attract that in as well. Now, that's very much the law of cause and effect, which is the same law as the law of attraction. But the connector has a very special energy with that. Now, you have your feet on the ground in the human domain, okay? And because of that, the sense of belongingness is very important to you. You're very concerned about humanity, about others, people feeling that they belong. You probably have the ability to connect in deeply with others, or in your authentic way that you connect. And depending on your wealth code and the identifiers that also color the connector for you, whether it's practical, whether it's inspirational, spiritual healing, whatever it may be, or a combination of those, that's how your connector, it likes to work, is uniquely wired up to you. So you want to add that into the equation we're talking about here. You are sensitive, you're heart-centered, and your primary desire is to be in deep connection. This is the hierarchy that you want to. This is good for all of us, but especially you want to be functioning under this hierarchy: connection with self, so that you can connect with source, divine, whatever you call the source of your being, God, and then others. You can't connect with others if you're not connected here first. Okay? So that's of primary importance for you to make sure that you are regularly connected and that you've got that hierarchy correct, in the correct order, because you can also overgive, you can also please, you can lose yourself, you can be overly attached, codependent. These are things that happen when we get that hierarchy wrong. So it's really important that you have your own practices that keep you connected with yourself and the source of being, your meditation, your being in nature, your feet on the ground, and that you're not just putting out all the time. You also have this empathetic quality to you. So you feel a lot and you can feel into a lot. Now, empaths, that's a whole other training. So I'm going to touch on that now. But empaths are incredibly sensitive and sometimes can take on other people's stuff. And I don't want that for you. So that's why you want to get this hierarchy right: self, source, and then others, so that you are in appropriate relationship with others, because your soul just craves to be connected. I have this archetype, and I have a really strong Venus in my blueprint. And I understand this wanting to connect, like it's a soul desire, and it can really serve you in the work that you're doing in the world in a really big way. You put a high value on relationships and have a unique ability to meet people exactly where they are with intimacy, with compassion, with understanding. You have your flavor of how you connect in. And it's important to honor your unique way that you connect in, but you do have that ability to meet others. You also, I'm going to keep weaving in the shadow for the connector. It's really important. You also need to be aware of where you are meant to. Otherwise, you put out too much. Okay. So you have to keep yourself fed. You're social and community oriented. You're just a really natural networker. You're keenly aware of that the fact that we're all divinely connected. There's a web, a golden thread that connects us all together. And you're at home and you flourish in the company of others. And your actions remind us that we are all one. So the way you're authentically showing up with your wealth gifts is that great reminder of connecting in. So I'm going to pause for just a moment, and I want to invite you to tune into how we'll get into your high value gifts, but how you uniquely connect in with others, like the value of connection for you. How are you set up right now for wealth as far as using your gifts as being a connector? So if you're someone who's in human resources, we find connectors in human resources all the time, whether that's your actual title or whether that is you're just doing that function within the work that you're doing in the world. Coaches, counselors, and you walk in many different professions. Diplomats, you can be incredibly, you can tell someone to screw off and do it so that it was nice and they didn't even necessarily know. You have this great gift. You're the teacher. You're really a human relations specialist. So where are you using that currently in your business, in your career, in your life? That is the intersection of purpose and prosperity for you. Your Sacred Wealth Code is the place where purpose and prosperity meet in your soul blueprint. It's really your sweet spot for wealth. And your Sacred Wealth Code reading isn't just about the financial side of life. Your reading will introduce you to your unique gifts. I like to call them your highest value gifts that will empower you in wealth, in love, in health, relationships, business, all the important areas of life, and really strengthen your connection to your soul. You'll be introduced to your personal guides, your archetypes. They're unique to you and your soul blueprint. And these archetypes represent the most powerful aspects of yourself. We all have all the archetypes within us, but your Sacred Wealth Code has 3 to 5 very unique ones based on your soul blueprint. So you can grab your reading. There is a link down below in the description. You can also get the free Sacred Wealth Code quiz, where you'll get one of your Sacred Wealth Code archetypes by taking the quiz. And my book, Your Sacred Wealth Code, Unlock Your Soul Blueprint for Prosperity and Purpose, is available on Amazon and on my website. Link is down below. And so is the Oracle cards and the journal. So I want you to either just answer that question right now, pause this recording, and take a moment to really sit with that and really articulate, how are you using this amazing relationship artist quality, connecting in with others that you have? How are you currently using that? You may not be using that all the way to your ability, and I want to help you with that. But how are you currently using in the work that you're doing? And 2 parts to this question: how would you like to be using them? How would you like to be using your gifts as a connector? What do you dream of being able to just show up with and do and be as far as connecting with others and receive wealth because of that? Wealth is also the fulfillment that you receive for that, but it's also the resources you receive for that as well. So tune in with those couple of questions. And if you need to pause the recording, do. And then you can just hop back in with me. Okay, so now you know how you're already using your gifts as being a relationship artist, as being a connector, and how you would like to. Now we can move on to the next step. And you have the wealth of relationships and communication. You have a wealth of relationships. you're someone who has think about it, you've got a lot of different kinds of relationships, and communication is your currency. So you need to use your communication and your chosen communication. Maybe you are actually work in the world of linguists, language in some way, translation of it. We find the communicator here too, but the connector, you have, again, that deep ability to connect in with people. You're gifted with a well of inspiration that gives you really, again, that web, those golden threads of connectivity, not only with people, but with opportunities. Remember I said that Venus is centripetal and draws things and people to it? Well, when you're aligned, you draw those opportunities to you. You can connect opportunities and people. You're very good at this. And so you're indispensable to others in your ability to do that. You have an inherent magnetism, again, that draws others to you in situations. And people just open up and probably share with you in the grocery store, in the oddest of places, people you don't even know, just the most intimate details of their life or what they're going through, because you are a warm, safe haven. A lot of counselors we see are really great connectors, a lot of coaches. Connectors are harmonious beings and they get along well with others, and you have a high value gift of empathy. And because you can easily feel everyone and everything around you, that's with animals and the world, the planet. We talked about this empathetic quality, but you can feel into everything. And you want to use that as a way to connect in, but not get lost in other people's stuff, in their drama and in their feelings. Okay, so you need to know where you start and where someone else begins. It's really important. How do you know that? I already hear that question coming up. We'll do a training on empathy. But you know that by being, again, in that hierarchy of self-source and others. Self-source and then others. If you're always focused on others, then you've lost a sense of self. If you don't have a sense of self, you can't find you. You can't go in and find God and find the divine and really listen to your soul. So again, that hierarchy is going to serve you really well. So you need to really be very clear about what do you need to have in place in your life so that you can connect with yourself regularly. For me, that is meditating, that's doing yoga, that's exercising in general. I'm super kinesthetic. That's walking and hiking. That's reading soul-inspiring things. I get connected with myself through some of those activities, and I have the portal open to connect with the divine. I listen all the time, tap in all the time by staying aligned and staying very present. And when I notice when I'm not, because I'm like everyone else, I get unpresent. I get off somewhere else. I do what I need to as quickly as I can to come back to center. This is so important. It's not about being right or wrong. It's a universe of contrast. We have light, we have dark, we have the in, the out breath, the heartbeats. It's just good to know where you are and how to get back to where you need to be, where you're most effective at that intersection of purpose and prosperity. And that's the beautiful thing about your high value gifts is your high value gifts, they will bring you into that intersection. So let's talk about some of your high value gifts, and then we'll get into the shadow side. So your high value gifts, you're highly connected. You intuitively know what others need and what they want. You're spiritually connected. You create a sense of belonging. You're just a natural networker between people and things and opportunities. You hear somebody needs a new computer. You're the one who knows where either the best sale is or where the person to go talk to find out the computer you actually need or where to go get it. You connect. You just can connect people with things and resources and with people. You're incredibly inspiring. You're relational. You are a creative communicator. You speak many different languages. So that's the language of the soul. That's the language of words. That's the language of touch. That's the language of ideas and inspiration. That's the language of movement. And dancers and performers can be amazing connectors as well. So what I want to invite you to do is to also tune into what are your high value gifts out of the ones that I've given you here, but that's a short list out of your high value gifts. So I want you to pause the recording, or you can do this after the recording. But you need to do it. It's really important. And I want you to do a stream of consciousness, or to close your eyes and tune in and listen, or just to speak into a recorder, or even ask your dear ones and write down all of your high value gifts. And just don't analyze it. Just let it come. Let it spill out. And after you've done that, look at the list I've given you. Look at your high value gifts. And I want you to circle the top 5. The top 5 that are really just so uniquely yours. And then I want to invite you to start to use those high value gifts, bring them out and develop them and infuse them into your work in the world. It's imperative that you do. That's that intersection of purpose and prosperity. And I guarantee you're using them some, but you're not using them all the way, not to the magnitude that is possible. And when you do use them to that magnitude, that is not only possible, but that you're wired for, they will continue to develop. They'll continue to develop, which will also continue to bring prosperity back to you. Let's talk about the shadow a little bit, and then I'll come to the inspired action. Actually, let's do it this way. Inspired action plan. I connect with myself, source, and then others. Then I can effectively use my high value gifts of inspiration and communication as my currency to remind others that relationships are a reflection of divinity. Now, that's all in your written document, the written version of your archetype, whether you have the book and the member site, and in your personal reading, you've got it there for sure. Now, what I want you to be aware of is that check out that inspired action plan. And if it's not, and this is the inspired action plan for your connector. And if it doesn't resonate for you, I want you to rewrite it so it does. You need to have it so it does. And you want to keep it first and foremost, along with your mantra and your soul desire and your purpose and your shadow that you'll find at the top of when you're reading your wealth, this part of your wealth code, your connector. You want to keep those front and center because those are your quick tap-ins. Those are your quick tap-ins to know where you are. You've got your questions that you can sit with, your tapping in questions, and they're also in a recording for you, so you can just tap in with those regularly. And I want to talk to you about the shadow side here. The shadow side of the connector is the biggest one that I find is that it's people pleasing. And it's because you want everyone to be happy. Understand that. You want everyone to be happy, but also because you want to be liked, which is simply not possible all the time. So you can ask yourself if that's showing up for you. Where am I trying to be liked? Where am I trying to please? This will undermine your mission in a big way. Again, you'll lose that hierarchy of self, source, and others. Then you're focused on others in order to fill the needs of the ego self. And underneath your smiles, you're afraid of losing love or security or being left alone. So when you feel insecure, you become self-negating and overly attached to people and outcomes. So it's imperative, it's so imperative that you use that hierarchy, self-source others, and get that in front of you. This also leaves you feeling unseen, misunderstood, and powerless, and often ineffective towards your goals. You can stay in debilitating relationships too long. I know I just hit you in the heart. Like, you have been in relationships too long, whatever kind of whatever relationship it might have been. And maybe you're in one right now I've done it where it's been too long. I'm going to try this, and I'm going to try to shift this, and I'm going to try doing it this way. And the fact of the matter is the relationship no longer serves in the form of the relationships it's in. You will stay too long. You can even become codependent because, again, you are trying to take care of others, trying to take care of some hidden needs for yourself. You've lost that hierarchy, self, source, and others. So these are patterns that we need to clear, okay, so that you can stay on the straight and narrow and that you can really be that authentic, amazing connector, but very clean connector because you have just a really high value in that. Otherwise, you'll needlessly wear yourself out and you'll be just blind to the goodness in life, and it'll hijack your dreams, and life will become dramatic. And that's not what we want for you. We need your connection. You want this to remind everyone of this um, divine belongingness that we have, this oneness that we have. The connector really holds that. So if you find yourself in the shadow energy, you're on the give too much, you're giving too much of what others want and not enough of your high value gifts. Got that? It's time to come back home again to your divine connection. Put your personal and your spiritual needs first. Spend some time in nature, on a retreat, get intimately acquainted with your purpose and your mission before returning to service. So I want you to give everything you want to give, but I want you to give it cleanly, and I want to teach you to give it so that there's no strings attached, and also that you give to yourself so you're nourished in that self source and others. So I want to invite you also to tune in for one more exercise with this training, and just notice where you are in the shadow right now. And even if you just have a little hint of it, or you go, oh yeah, I've spent a lot of time there, maybe it's not right now. And I want you to dive into that. And I want you to find out, what's the driver of that behavior? What are you trying to get? There's a part of you that's trying to have a need filled. It's not present time. We've got some clearing processes to help you through this. It's good to know when you're even on ramp to your shadow. So you want to use tuning into the shadow questions regularly, because when you do, you'll notice, oh yeah, I got a little bit of that misguided empathy going on. I'm getting a little codependent over there. And you can go ahead and pull yourself out of that energy before it entraps you. You've lost a lot of your energy because of that. Connector, amazing connector. Go ahead and do the practices I just talked about in this training and tune into your connector regularly. And the last part of this that I want to give you is, I want to invite you to come back to your inspired action plan, come back to your high value gifts, and I want you to tune in with, what's an inspired action that you can take to use more of your high value gifts in your work right now, or the work you want to be doing. Now, this isn't the tuning in questions, but I want you to dig into this. I want you to really dig into this, because I know you've settled and you're doing some of what you're good at. Okay, but it won't get you what you want, and it also won't give the world what it wants from you. So I want you to step into your authenticity and stretch yourself and pick one of your high value gifts and infuse that more into what you're doing. Infuse that more into what you're doing. And then I want to hear from you. I want to hear from you in the forum. I want to support you, and the coaches want to support you as well. Okay. Much love.